Hello there, welcome back to another video, and in this video I'll be doing a relaxer retouch, and these are the products that I'll be using. So I will be using the Design Essential product line. So I'll be using their instant conditioner, their relaxer, and their neutralizing solution, and I'll be using the regular strength in the relaxer. I'll also be using the motion mousse for styling and the Revlon base for protecting the scalp. So first, to start of the relaxer process, I go ahead and drape my client, and I always drape my client to protect their clothing from the chemical that I'm using. Of course, accident can occur, so I want to ensure that nothing is catching onto my client's clothing. Then once I've done that, then I go in and I detangle the hair with a wide tooth comb. Of course, don't want to be pulling on the hair, especially the new growth, too much, because that can definitely irritate the client's scalp. Once I've done that, then I go ahead and I'll section the hair into 4, and I section the hair for control. Of course, you could go ahead and do the entire hair as in 1, but I prefer to section the hair, and I do think it's best to section the hair in 4 so that you have maximum control of the chemical or the relaxer that you're going to put in on the new growth, as we do not want the relaxer to be going onto hair that has already been relaxed. So once I've done that, then I'm going to go in and I'm going to base the scalp area. And of course, I'm using the Revlon Scalp Shield to base the scalp. And this is just a thin layer of oil that is going to be placed on the scalp so that the relaxer will not irritate or burn the client's scalp. So it will act as a barrier between the relaxer and the client's scalp. So we want to protect the client's scalp. We know we're not relaxing scalp, of course, but just in case some relaxer were to get onto the scalp area, then of course the base would be there to protect it. When basting the scalp, I always start from the top, and the reason why I start from the top is so that the oil, once the scalp or the heat from the scalp starts to melt the oil, then it is going to run straight down. So if I were to start from the bottom, then it would start to run onto our neck, and of course don't want to waste our products, so I start from the top so that it will melt. So as you can see, I'm not using my fingers to press it into the scalp area. I'm using the nozzle of the bottle to put it in the line that I've parted directly onto the scalp. There's no need to use my fingers to press it into the scalp area. The body heat will melt the oil and it will spread right onto the entire scalp area, which is what we want. Once we have done basing the scalp area, then I go ahead and base around the hairline. Now I'm putting the oil on the skin, not onto the hair itself. So at no point in time do we want the oil to be on the hair, because if the oil gets onto the hair, it is going to prevent the new growth from being relaxed. And of course, we don't want that, so we make sure that we are putting it onto the skin. Once I've done that, then I go ahead with my fingers and just spread it out. And the reason for basting around the hairline is because these areas tend to be quite sensitive. Of course, you wash your face, you might rub your skin or even brush your hair. You might irritate the skin, and of course the neck, we scrub our neck to get it clean while showing, so that is going to also cause it to be sensitive. And as you can see there, I am applying the oil to the previously relaxed hair, and this will help to prevent the relaxer from over processing the hair. And of course, you get our gloves and ensure that we're protecting my hands, and then I use a spatula to put the relaxer into a mixing bowl. So we do not use the relaxer directly from the jar, and the reason for that is to prevent contamination. So if I were to use the comb into our hair and then apply the relaxer and then dip it back into the container, then that could cause cross-contamination. Of course, our hair is not clean, and so we will be putting a dirty comb into a jar of relaxer, and so we would not want that. And as you can see that the entire scalp is covered properly with the oil as was depicted there in the video. Now I'm going ahead and I'm applying the relaxer to the new growth, and I'm only applying to the new growth only. So when applying the relaxer, I apply it in a clockwise motion. So I've started at the right back section, and I'm starting from the crown section, and usually it is recommended that you start from the most resistant area. And in this case, her most resistant area is at her crown, but it is not in every case. The resistant area could be at the crown. In some instances, it could be on other parts of the head, and therefore you want to ensure that you're doing your consultation. Now, I would have done my consultation. I would have gone through and checked her hair and her scalp to ensure that I'm choosing the correct strength relaxer for her hair, and also to ensure that there's no cuts or anything that is on her scalp before proceeding. I'm also ensuring that I'm having clean parts, because you don't want to have jagged parts, because in that case you'll be applying relaxer to hair that has already been relaxed. So to avoid that, we ensure that the partings are clean so that we can keep the relaxer on the hair that is supposed to be relaxed and not on hair that is not supposed to be relaxed. Now, once I get down to the nape area, I am not going to be applying the relaxer directly to the nape area. I am going to be leaving that area last, and the reason for doing that is to prevent the relaxer from irritating the sensitive area. So yes, we have applied oil, but at the same time we don't want to take it for granted. So I'm just going to brush it onto the top of the hair and not onto the scalp area. So let me zoom in so you can see it. Once I've done that, then I'll take the hair down, and I don't press it down into the scalp area. I'm going to leave it as is so that oxygen can pass through it. Once oxygen or hair is passing through these partings, then it will not accumulate heat, because if it starts to get really hot, then the possibility, even though the scalp has been based, the possibility lies that she could still be burned or a scalp could be irritated. So we leave it like that so that, as mentioned before, oxygen can pass through, which will prevent the heat from building up and causing our scalp to burn. The safety of our client is always very important, and so they come to us to have their hair done. We want to ensure that they're leaving with their hair and leaving with healthy scalp and healthy hair. So if you look closely, you can see that the relaxer is not directly on our scalp area. I'll zoom in it a bit so that you can see. So it's not on the scalp area, and that is what we want. Once you have done with the back section, then I move towards the front and I'll do the very same thing that I did in the back. And as you can see, I am not applying the relaxer to the hairline. I am leaving these areas last because I will have to go back through the hair. So if I were to put the relaxer onto the hairline while I'm doing the first application, then the possibility lies that our hairline could start to burn because those areas are so sensitive, and then I would have to remove the relaxer. Keep in mind that once the client's scalp starts to irritate, we can't say that we're going to leave the relaxer in the hair because we want the hair to be straight. Because if the client's scalp is damaged, then of course the hair will be damaged. And so when you get to the shampoo area and start to rinse it, then the client's skin is going to be severely burned. Their hair is going to be falling out, and we don't want that. So we want to ensure that we are doing our chemical service in a safe manner. So we would not want to apply it to the scalp area, and we want to ensure that we are applying it last to the sensitive areas so that our client here can process evenly and they can leave out of our salon without any burn. So now that I'm finishing up with the front section, I am going to now move towards the back section, and we are going to do what we call cross application. So we're going to be applying the relaxer to the section that we refer to as holidays, and the holiday sections are the sections that has not been touched by relaxer. And also, because we weren't applying the relaxer so close to the scalp, now we are going to go in and apply the relaxer a little closer to the scalp, and we are also using a different line when it comes to parting the hair. So as you can see in the video, I am using diagonal lines. The first application I use horizontal line, and then the second application now I am using diagonal lines. And now I am moving closer to the scalp but not onto the scalp. While doing the second application, I am not pressing the relaxer onto the scalp area, neither am I pressing each sections that I've parted together. We still want to keep the hair open so that oxygen can pass through, so I'm not pressing down or the relaxer onto the scalp area. Our aim is not to relax the scalp, our aim is to relax the hair. And it's the reason why we want to keep the relaxer on the new growth, seeing that that is what we are working with. So when you have a relaxer, so when you do a virgin relaxer application, the relaxer is going to be applied to the entire hair shaft. For retouch, we only apply the relaxer to the new growth, hence the reason why there's no relaxer on the ends. Now it is during the second application, I now apply the relaxer to the nape area or the hairline at the back section, and it will touch the client's skin, hence the reason why I did base those areas to prevent the relaxer from irritating or burning those areas. So you can understand the reason why I did not apply it to the hairline. I did not apply the relaxer to the hairline the first application because it's going to touch the client's skin. At this time, I am closer to taking the relaxer from the client here by removing it with water, hence the reason why I can now put the relaxer on areas that it will touch the client's skin. Let's talk a little bit about the application time. Now on the bottle, it will give you the instruction and tell you how long you should take to apply the relaxer. Now if it says 15 minutes, that 15 minutes is going to incorporate your first application, your second application, and your smoothing. So it means that at the end of 15 minutes or 20 minutes, you should be at the shampoo basin removing the chemical relaxer from the client here. Hence the reason why it is quite important that you move as fast as you possibly can so that you can get the relaxer in onto the hair and out of the hair within the allotted time. Of course, there are exceptions because sometimes some clients' hair does take longer than what the manufacturer states on the bottle. But if you're trained, like myself, I'm a professional, I've been trained, so I understand what is it that I am looking for. You can actually leave the relaxer a little longer to ensure that the client hair is processed evenly. But other than that, you want to ensure that you are following the manufacturer's instructions. Now that I'm at the front section, I am doing the same application, which is the second application, and I'm using diagonal lines, and it is in this process that I am going to be applying the relaxer to the hairline. Now these areas, as mentioned, is very sensitive, and so because I'm close to taking out the relaxer, removing the relaxer from the client hair, then I'm able to put the relaxer on the hairline. Of course, we want the hairline to be processed. We would not want the entire hair to be processed and the client hairline is not processed. So it is during this stage that I apply the relaxer to the hairline. Now, something I want you to take note of. There are some clients where their most resistant area is actually at their hairline. Now, if you find that your client hairline is resistant, then of course you will have to apply the relaxer to the hairline in the first step. But in most instances, that is not the case. Hence the reason why I apply the relaxer to the hairline in the second application. Now I have completed my second application and I'm just taking down the hair. I am not pasting it together. I am still allowing it for oxygen to pass through and just ensuring that the entire area is covered. So that is the entire perimeter around each section is covered with relaxer so that my client can have an even relaxer processing on our hair, ensure that the hair at the hairline is covered. Now that I've done that, I'm going to go in now and I'm going to smooth. Now, as you can see, I smooth out the hairline first, or the perimeter of the sections first, and I'm using the tips or the pads of my fingers for smoothing. The tips or the pads of your finger, it contains heat and it will help to the hair to straighten. For most instances, our client want their hair to be straight. Of course, you have to caution them that if you have 100% straight, it's 100% damage, and so we do not want to remove all the curls. We want to remove the maximum, maybe 65% of the curl. The good thing about the Design Essential relaxer that I'm using is that even if you were to leave it on the hair, it is not going to straighten the hair 100% because of the buffers that have been placed in the relaxer. So the relaxer is already come with some safety measure so that it will not get your hair to 100% straightness. So if you're somebody who likes to have your hair 100% straight, then I would not recommend the Design Essential relaxer because it's going to leave some amount of texture in the hair. Of course, I prefer to have texture in the hair because it will help the hair to have body and bounce. And I love to see relaxed hair moving and bouncing, so I like this relaxer for that purpose. This is how our hair is looking after applying the relaxer to the entire new growth. So you can see that there's no relaxer on the hair that has been previously relaxed. So now that we have done with the processing, it's time to remove the relaxer. Now, when removing the relaxer, I remove the relaxer from the first section that I apply the relaxer. And I'm using the force of the water to remove the relaxer from the hair. Now, the first step in stopping the relaxer, stopping the action of the relaxer, is water. And it's the reason why we rinse the hair first before we apply anything else to the hair. Chemical hair relaxing involves 3 steps. 1, processing, 2, neutralizing, and 3, conditioning. So the hair has already been processed, and it's the reason why I'm removing it from the hair with water. And then once I remove all traces of relaxer from the hair with water, then I'm going to go in to neutralize, and to neutralize the hair, I'm going to be using a neutralizing shampoo. But before applying neutralizing shampoo, I must ensure that all the relaxer is rinsed from the hair. And how you can know that is when you look into the shampoo base, you're not seeing any bubbles. The water is running nice, crystal clear. Now, perhaps you're wondering if you have to use a neutralizing shampoo. Now, the purpose of neutralizing shampoo serves is to actually re-harden the hair. So bear in mind that when you apply the relaxer to the hair softens and swells and the imbrication of the cuticles open, and so the relaxers can go into the cortex and get the hair straight where the bonds are broken. Now, after the relaxing process, the hair is now soft. So to re-harden the hair, we use a neutralizing shampoo. And a neutralizing shampoo, if you were to look on a pH scale, it should fall on the acidic side so that it can bring back down the pH level of the hair. Now, once the hair has been properly shampooed, then I'm going to go in and apply the conditioner, and I'll leave it on the hair for a little bit. Now, once I did that and rinse out the conditioner from the hair, I went in and trimmed the ends, and you can see that the ends are looking nice. And then I went in and did, of course, my roller setting, and it is looking fabulous. And this is the finished look. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.